extremely realistic and provide a great blowback. The newer models that we have in right now too do also come with a double stack magazine, which is going to hold 21 rounds. There we go.
While it remains a piece of the entire story that is conveniently overlooked by a certain faction of society, 12-year-old Tamir Rice was killed by a cop in Cleveland while he was carrying a replica weapon, one that looked exactly like the real thing, one that the cop in question had no idea was phony and could not be used to kill anybody. Replica weapons are becoming part of the overall discussion on keeping citizens and cops safe, and the city of Boston is doing something about it, which some will see as necessary and timely, others will see as not really doing one thing to address the real problem of guns in the hands of kids and those with real menace in their hearts. All right, let's get around the dial. Welcome to the fray, host of the Afternoon Drive with Kev in Columbia, South Carolina, weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, 95.9 FM The Point, Columbia's local talk experience, Keven Cohen. All right, Kevin, a pleasure to have you on the show. We're going to get around to what's happening in South Carolina today, but specifically let's deal with this because there has been gun violence in South Carolina in every state in the country right now. And here is the police commissioner in Boston saying we now have to start going after replica weapons because these are just as big a problem as the real ones. Agree or disagree?
I think you have to be very careful about what you put on the streets. I mean, I thought that I have 2 children. I want my kids, if they're ever going to play with toy guns, to have something that clearly distinguishes a toy gun from a real gun.
But let's also then look at the Tamir Rice case, because here's another case. We just showed a picture, too, of some of the replica weapons. And it comes then with a handgun that has that red tip on it, which is supposed to tell everybody that this is phony. That was removed from the gun. So in essence, even if you do things like that, it really doesn't work all the time. That's got to be fearful to you as a parent and to everybody.
Terrifying. I mean, once you take that off, that's a game changer. And whoever takes that off is obviously doing so with bad intentions. And that's, like I say, a game changer, Ed.
So then let's talk about changing the game. Do we need then to also look at legislation that takes replica weapons off the shelves and out of the hands of everybody?
Just as soon as you say the word more legislation, I cringe. We don't need any more legislation. We need responsible parents. And that's something that is got to be in Cleveland. That's something that's got to be in Massachusetts. Something got to be down here in South Carolina. Parents, why don't you keep an eye on what your children are doing?
Kevin, I have been talking about that for years. It is something that I have focused on when it comes down to responsible parents. All right, now, you then hit this. How do we then get this through to parents? It doesn't make a difference what social strata they're from, how many kids they have, white, black, blue, green, male, female, makes no difference. How do we get it through to them that it's your responsibility, and if the kid does something, you're the one who failed, you've got to get on top of it? How do we do that?
I think it has to start at the grassroots level. It has to start with local media. It has to start in the churches and the synagogues. It has to start with teachers. Get parents more involved. Find a way to get them involved like they once were, or the way parents like I try to be. I go to every student parent conference that I can have. You have to, if you're going to sign up to be a parent, be a parent.
All right, now, let's go ahead and take that down to what's happening in South Carolina. Again, we don't want to minimize what's happened here because the cop today was fired. This is in the high school classroom where he basically threw the student down to the floor. Let's look at that. What about parenting here? To tell a kid of any age, you get approached by a cop, not just a cop, but a teacher maybe, says something to you, just do it. Shut up. Hand him the phone. Don't be arrogant. Don't be entitled. Don't make it any worse than it is.
I can't say it any more eloquently than you just said it, Ed. I mean, this goes to something much bigger. Now, I realize we're not talking about this young lady being bodily harmed or damaged to the point of where I'm about to go. But I mean, this goes to Ferguson, Missouri. If Michael Brown gets out of a street and just gets on a sidewalk, he might be with us today. This goes to Eric Garner. If he listens to police in New York, he might be with us today. There's something going on right now in our society, in our communities, that's preventing young people from just understanding authority is authority. And you'll have your day in court. You'll get your chance if you're a student to talk to a principal. You'll get your day to talk to someone of authority if you don't like the way a teacher is treating you. But when it starts with a teacher, then it becomes a school administrator, then it becomes the school resource officer. Let's not forget who started this whole thing, and it's the kid. Now, does that mean that the deputy shouldn't have been fired earlier today? Of course he had to be fired. There was no other choice for the local sheriff.
Why did he have to be fired, Kevin?
He had to be fired because he tossed a little kid around like a rag doll and didn't follow protocol. He had to be fired because of the public outcry and because our sheriff down here, and I give him credit, Sheriff Leon Lott, he doesn't want another situation like what you've seen in other areas of the country. We don't deal with riots
But
here.
do you think that area of the
racism.
country, though, would happen? I understand that when he says that, but do you really think that something like that would happen in your area of the country and that area of the country, that it could get that bad?
I'm not interested in allowing the people that like to be bussed in to come in and make a stink out of South Carolina. They tried to do it on the Confederate flag. They tried to do it after 9 beautiful souls were massacred in Charleston. We just don't need it here.
All right, I'm going to lighten things up here for the final 60 seconds because we have to. It is a serious day. Let's try and go on something a little bit easier. The World Health Organization says that hot dogs, bacon, and other delicious processed meats can cause cancer. Whatever happened to personal responsibility and moderation?
I have no idea. What a great question that is. You know what? If you tell me I can't eat a big chunk of cow, if you tell me that I can't eat a hot dog every now and then without getting cancer, yeah, it's worth it. Give me my cancer one day. I'm going to die of something, but don't take the cow out of my life.
But you would say, though, that some people get a little bit out of hand. I mean, the people who stack the bacon 9 high, that's a little bit of a concern.
Well, yeah, but then again, we go right back to what you and I have been harping on for our entire lives as adults, and it comes down to personal responsibility. You know if you're eating fast food every day. You know if you're eating stacks of bacon. You know that you're taking your life in your own hands.
Take a little responsibility, humans. Of course you will. Don't forget, weekday afternoons, 95.9 FM, The Point in Columbia, South Carolina. Keven Cohen. Kevin, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. We want to invite you to make sure that you join us this evening. The GOP debate, number 3. Join us right here on Newsmax. Sarah Palin will join us. Pollster John Zogby will join us. Dick Morris will join us. Steve Molsberg will host from New York as we bring you a very special post-debate coverage. Tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific time. Join us right here. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news continues on The Hardline.